What is the reason? Your puppy feels the need to launch themselves like a furry rocket at every person who walks through your front door, and how can you transform that chaotic energy into a polite and calm greeting? Which specific training mistakes are you making that might actually be encouraging this behavior without you even realizing it? And have you ever felt embarrassed when a guest arrives because you know your dog is about to ruin their nice clothes with muddy paws? Hi, welcome back to Paw and Order. My name is Carl, and I am gonna teach you with a complete roadmap to stop the jumping once and for all. We all love a happy puppy, but a dog that doesn't respect personal space can become a real problem as they grow bigger and stronger. Today, we are going to dive deep into the psychology of the jump and use simple English to explain how to communicate with your puppy in a way they actually understand. If you follow these advice, you will have a dog that greets everyone with 4 paws on the floor and a wagging tail. How does a puppy view a human face, and why is jumping their natural way of saying hello to the world? In the wild, puppies greet their mothers by licking their faces to show respect and to ask for food, but since humans are much taller, the puppy has to jump up just to get close to our mouths and eyes. Which means that when your puppy jumps, they aren't trying to be bad or dominant, they are simply trying to reach you because they are excited to see a friend. Have you noticed that the more you push them away or yell, the more excited they seem to get? This is because to a puppy, any attention, even negative attention, is a reward. If you touch them to push them down, they think you are playing a wrestling game. If you yell at them, they think you are barking along in excitement. To stop the jumping, we first have to stop giving them the reaction they are looking for, which is the very first and most important step in our training journey together today. Which simple physical technique can you use the very next time your puppy jumps on you to show them it doesn't work? The secret is called the "be a statue" method, and it is the most effective way to drain the energy out of a jump. When your puppy's paws hit your legs, you must immediately cross your arms, look up at the ceiling, and become completely silent. Do not say no, do not push them, and do not make eye contact. By turning into a boring statue, you are telling the puppy that jumping makes their favorite person disappear emotionally. The moment they get frustrated and put all 4 paws back on the carpet, you should immediately turn back to them and give them gentle praise. This teaches them a very clear, if I jump, the fun stops, if I stand still, the love returns. It takes a lot of patience, especially when those sharp puppy claws are digging into your knees, but consistency is the only way to break the habit forever. What is the 4 on the floor rule, and how can you use treats to reinforce the behavior you actually want to see from your pet? Have you ever tried rewarding your puppy before they even have a chance to jump? This is a proactive approach, rather than a reactive one. Keep a small bowl of kibble or treats near your front door. When a guest walks in, toss a few treats onto the floor away from the guest. This keeps the puppy's head down and their nose busy while the initial burst of excitement passes. While the puppy is eating off the floor, they physically cannot jump. This creates a new habit, where the sound of the doorbell means, look at the floor for treats, rather than, aim for the guest's face. You are essentially reprogramming their brain to find value in staying low. Simple steps like this prevent the bad behavior from happening in the first place, which is much easier than trying to fix it once the puppy is already midair and barking. How can you use a common dog leash inside your house to manage a jumping puppy when guests arrive? This is a unique tip that many people forget to use, but a house line is a lifesaver for training. When you know a friend is coming over, put your puppy on a leash, and step on the leash with your foot, leaving just enough room for the puppy to stand or sit, but not enough room for them to jump up. Which means that when they try to leap, they hit the ceiling of the leash and realize they can't go anywhere. Because you are the one holding the leash with your foot, you don't have to use your hands to pull them, which avoids the wrestling trap we talked about earlier. This allows your guest to enter the home safely, without being harassed. Once the puppy settles down and stops pulling against the leash, you can let them approach the guest for a calm sniff and a pat on the head. Which role do your guests play in this training process, and have you ever had a friend say, "Oh, I don't mind if he jumps"? This is actually one of the biggest hurdles in puppy training. When a guest encourages the jumping by petting the puppy, while they are up, they are undoing all of your hard work. You must be the puppy police, and tell your guests the rules before they enter. Ask them to ignore the dog completely, until the dog is calm. Tell them, please don't pet him unless he is sitting. If the guest won't listen, the puppy won't learn. It is your job to protect the training process. You can even put a sign on your front door that says, "Puppy in training, please ignore me until I am calm." This simple step ensures that everyone who enters your home is on the same page. Consistency across all humans is the only way the puppy will understand that the rules don't change just because a new person is in the room. What is the alternative behavior method, and how can teaching your puppy to sit save your guests from being jumped on? Have you realized that a puppy cannot jump and sit at the same time? It is physically impossible. Therefore, the sit command is your most powerful weapon against jumping. You should practice the sit command hundreds of times in different rooms of the house when it is quiet. Once the puppy is a pro at sitting for you, start practicing when the doorbell rings. If you can get your puppy to sit and stay while the door opens, they have learned self-control. This is a big challenge for a young dog, so use the best treats you have, maybe small pieces of plain cooked chicken or cheese. If the puppy sits, the guest approaches them. If the puppy breaks the sit to jump, the guest should immediately turn around and walk back toward the door. This teaches the puppy that sitting is the key that unlocks the guest. How does exercise and mental stimulation play a part in a puppy's tendency to jump on everyone they see? Have you ever noticed that a tired puppy is usually a much better behaved puppy? If your puppy has been trapped inside all day, with no way to burn off their energy, of course they are going to explode with excitement when someone new arrives. Before you expect a guest, try to take your puppy for a long walk, or play a vigorous game of fetch in the backyard. This drains their physical tank, which means that, when the doorbell rings, they simply don't have the extra fuel required to launch themselves into the air. Mental stimulation is just as important. Using a puzzle toy or a snuffle mat before guests arrive can tire out their brain. A puppy that is mentally and physically satisfied is much more likely to choose a calm breeding over a frantic one. Simple steps like a 20-minute walk can make your training session 10 times more successful. What should you do if your puppy is a stealth jumper who waits until the guest is sitting on the couch to strike? This is a common problem, where the puppy thinks the rules only apply at the front door. Have you ever been enjoying a nice conversation, only to have a puppy fly onto your lap and hit you in the chin? The solution is the time out method. If the puppy jumps on a seated guest, gently and calmly lead the puppy to a different room, or behind a baby gate for just 30 seconds. This isn't a punishment, it is a reset. You are removing the puppy from the social situation they value so much. When the 30 seconds are up, let them back in. If they jump again, they go back out for another 30 seconds. Eventually, the puppy will realize that jumping causes a social blackout. They want to be where the people are, so they will eventually learn that staying calm is the only way to keep their VIP pass to the living room. Which unique body language cues are you giving your puppy that might be making them more hyper? Have you ever noticed how we tend to talk in a high-pitched, squeaky voice when we see a cute puppy? "Hi, who's a good boy?" This high-pitched energy acts like a shot of adrenaline for a dog. To keep your puppy calm, you and your guests must speak in low, slow, and soothing tones. Avoid fast movements or waving your arms around, as this looks like play behavior to a puppy. How you move your body tells the puppy how they should move theirs. If you are calm and moving slowly, the puppy is much more likely to mirror that energy. This is a very simple shift in human behavior that has a massive impact on canine behavior. Think of yourself as a calm anchor for your puppy. If the anchor is steady, the boat, or in this case, the puppy, won't toss and turn so much in the waves of excitement. How can the treat scavenger hunt help during the most intense moments of a guest's arrival? If your puppy is particularly high energy, you can try throwing a handful of small treats all over the floor, right as the guest walks in. This creates a scavenger hunt that keeps the puppy's nose to the ground for a good minute or two. By the time they have found all the treats, the newness of the guest has worn off, and the puppy's heart rate has slowed down. This is a unique way to use their natural foraging instinct to bypass the jumping reflex. It is a very simple step that requires no fancy equipment, just a pocket full of kibble. Which means that the guest can get settled, take off their coat, and sit down without being jumped on. Once the scent game is over, the puppy will usually approach the guest for a much calmer, more polite sniff, which is exactly what we want. What are the long-term benefits of stopping the jumping habit, while the puppy is still small and manageable? Have you thought about what will happen when your 10-pound puppy becomes a 60-pound adult dog? A cute jump now can become a dangerous situation later, especially for elderly guests or small children, who could be knocked over. By teaching these simple steps today, you are investing in a lifetime of stress-free social gatherings. Which means that you won't have to lock your dog in a crate, or a spare room every time the pizza delivery driver arrives, or a neighbor stops by. You are building a foundation of respect and boundaries that will make your dog a welcome guest in other people's homes too. A well-behaved dog is a dog that gets to go more places and meet more people. This training isn't just about stopping a bad habit, it's about opening up the world for your puppy to explore safely and politely. Which specific tools, like baby gates or crates, can help you manage the environment during the training phase? Have you realized that you don't have to train live every single time someone comes over? If you are tired or the puppy is having a particularly crazy day, it is perfectly okay to use a baby gate to keep the puppy in another room while guests arrive. This prevents the puppy from practicing the jumping behavior. Every time a puppy successfully jumps on someone, the habit gets stronger. By using a gate, you break the cycle. You can give the puppy a frozen marrow bone, or a stuffed toy behind the gate, so they are happy and occupied. Once the initial excitement of the guest's arrival has passed, you can then bring the puppy out on a leash for a controlled training session. Using these management tools is a smart and simple way to ensure that you only train when you are ready to be successful. How should you handle a relapse, where your puppy suddenly starts jumping again after weeks of being good? Have you ever felt frustrated when it seems like your puppy has forgotten everything you taught them? This is a normal part of puppy development, often called the adolescent phase. During this time, their brains are changing, and they might test the boundaries again. The secret is to not get angry, and to simply go back to the basics. Go back to being a statue, go back to the 4-on-the-floor rule, and go back to using the leash. Which means that you are showing the puppy that the rules never change, no matter how old they get. Consistency is the secret sauce of all dog training. If you stay calm and stick to the plan, the puppy will quickly realize that the old rules still apply and they will return to their polite ways. Don't give up, you are almost there. In conclusion, stopping a puppy from jumping on guests is a journey that requires patience, clear communication, and a lot of treats. By understanding that jumping is a natural greeting, you can use methods like be a statue, the leash step on, and the 4-on-the-floor rule to guide them toward better choices. Remember to manage your guests, keep your own energy calm, and use simple English commands that the puppy can easily follow. My name is Carl, and I am so proud of you for taking these steps to help your puppy become a polite member of society. Paw and Order is all about creating a harmonious home for you and your furry best friend. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and I promise you will see results.